Hi folks, welcome to my channel. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Thomas Smithyman, PhD. I'm a clinical psychologist. I specialize in treating social anxiety, and this is one of my many videos on the topic. So what I wanted to get into today was why it's okay to be anxious while talking to people. I see this come up a lot. I had somebody I was working with, it's happened fairly recently, where he came in and he was telling me about the recent interactions he'd done, and he's a cool guy. He has a lot of diverse interests. And he wanted some more, to have some more interactions with people who were kind of into the same stuff as him. So doing that required going out and interacting with more people, which of course triggers social anxiety. So he's a courageous guy, so he's willing to do stuff despite anxiety. Anxiety, of course, not the absence of courage again, not the absence of fear, but doing something while you're afraid. So for social anxiety, this means courage is I feel anxiety and I choose to do the thing that I'm afraid of. So he was good, he was willing to do it. But he did believe, as many people do, that if you go talk to somebody and you're anxious, it's going to go badly. Largely with the idea that other people are going to respond badly to you if you talk in that state. So it's a theory, and it's a theory that he's willing to test. One of the kind of base ideas around treating this for me is we can have theories, we can identify what those ideas are that make us anxious, but we can't just accept they're true. We've got to be a scientist, we've got to test it out, we've got to see if the theory plays out. So he was willing to do that. So he went out and he went to an event with people that were into stuff that he was into, but he perceived as being pretty cool people. He was anxious, but still he went up and talked to him. And he was anxious before he went to talk to him, he was anxious while talking to them, and by his account he did some fumbling, he wasn't super smooth or suave, he was anxious. And yet they were nice to him, and yet the conversation continued. After a while, his anxiety started to drop, as it does. Generally the first few minutes, things are most anxious, then it starts to come down. He persisted, he got less anxious, they had more and more of a conversation, and in the end, they got along pretty well. So he had this really kind of good interaction, despite his predictions of, if I'm anxious while talking to somebody, it will go badly, therefore I must avoid and hide while anxious. Instead it went fine, actually went well. So I asked him, kind of what was your takeaway from that? I'll do this all the time. What's your takeaway? You tested this out. What do you think happened? What do you make of this? And he said, well, maybe anxiety is acceptable. He didn't say, oh, anxiety is cool, people are into it, it makes it better. It's not a positive thing, but maybe it's not the problem that I was perceiving it to be. And that is a great takeaway, because what that means is, if it's not a problem, it doesn't matter if you're going up to talk to somebody while anxious. That doesn't stop you, that's not a bad thing, and in fact, this will probably lead to you interacting with a lot more people. So I do want to talk about a couple of the ways, a couple of things you should know as far as knowing why it's okay to be anxious while interacting with people. Because this does come up a lot. Many people come in with this idea of, I need to be calm, relaxed, confident before I talk to anybody. And they a lot of times want me to tell them how do I get relaxed and calm before I go talk to somebody. The answer is, we actually want you doing the opposite. One, if you're waiting around for the time where you're not anxious in order to go talk to someone, you'll be not talking to people a lot of the time. Like you're going to cut out such a huge amount of the population because you're going to be anxious before you talk to them. That's not a cue to back away. So we don't want to do that. That's going to waste a lot of opportunities. We want you to be anxious while interacting. People tell me, I want my anxiety to go away so that I can talk to people. And in fact, the truth is, you want to go talk to people so that your anxiety can go away. It actually works the opposite way around. It is through the process of talking to people that you teach your threat system that social interaction is safe, that you're safe, and then it can start to shut down. You need to go interact with people multiple times and show yourself not protected and see that it goes fine. That exposure process will help your anxiety come down over time. So one of the reasons it's okay to be anxious talking to people is you want to be. That helps you become less anxious. Every time you invest in talking to someone while anxious and you are truly yourself, your anxiety will start to come down. And this is true for dating anxiety, for general social anxiety, very true for public speaking anxiety. The more you do this, the better your threat system will learn, oh, it's safe, this part's safe. And you also, the more you put in that time to connect to people, despite anxiety, the more of those positive interactions you'll have, like the guy I was talking about. And over time, you will end up being more connected, have a better social life, as well as being less anxious. We don't want to look at it, this is sort of another idea here, you don't want to look at it as being, well, either I'm anxious or I'm able to be warm and friendly. Like, oh, well, I'm warm and friendly, I can go talk to people. I'm feeling anxious, I can't. We don't want it to be either or. Make it both. We want you to be anxious and warm. We want you to be warm all the time, like the kind of first basic chunk of treatment with me is warmth and curiosity. We want you to be warm, and we don't want anxiety to be a modulator of that. So be anxious and warm. I bet that what you'll find is people respond to the warmth, not to the anxiety. They'll respond to the warmth with positive interactions. They'll give warmth back to you. And the anxiety, it's not really going to bother them. A couple of other quick ideas. Reasons why it's okay to be anxious while talking to people. One, anxiety is largely an internal experience. This is one of the big sort of cognitive problems with social anxiety is this idea that whatever I feel is visible to the world, everyone can see it. In reality, anxiety is internal. Some of it's external, but actually not very much. People are constantly surprised when they test this out. Like a lot of people test this out. They will be anxious in front of people and ask them what they saw. People don't see the anxiety. It's internal. I have people test this out in groups a lot. And again they find, oh, people don't actually notice how anxious I am. Maybe it's a third, a quarter, even less than what they feel. You'll see this too when you find out that people that you would never think are anxious are. They'll tell you, oh yeah, I was really anxious. You might get a little bit, oh, a bit of excitement, there's a bit of something that's a little bit nervous, but they're not getting this. It's a big overwhelming issue. So people may well not be noticing it. Another factor is, there's a reasonable chance people that you're talking to are anxious themselves. Like the social anxiety is so common that if you're talking to a stranger, there's a reasonable chance they're anxious talking to you. You may not be able to see it, like our previous point, but very, very good chance. If so, they're probably very likely to be empathetic about your anxiety. We know from research that people are more empathetic to issues that they themselves have experienced. Since most people have had some social anxiety, people tend to be unexpectedly nice about it. Like in my example from the beginning, my guy went up there and talked to people, and he was feeling very anxious and didn't do like some stellar job, but he perceived it as people being very nice to him. They may not have even noticed it, they may have just seen his friendliness, but what he noticed is that they were very nice to him, even while he wasn't doing his best job. Great. Don't have to be great, don't have to be, spectacular every time. So people are generally nice. That will come up again and again and again. So these are some reasons, this is why I'm arguing. When you're anxious and you want to talk to someone, don't try to get rid of the anxiety. Take it with you, be anxious and warm, go talk to them. I imagine there'll be a whole lot more to gain than there'll be to lose. But don't take my word for it. Like I said at the beginning, be a scientist. Go test it out, go see. Go do it 10 times. See how people respond. I bet it'll be pretty good. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I have videos coming out every Friday. And please let me know if there's any topics you want to talk about. Okay, thanks.